fetch this recording from the temple YouTube. Okay. So we are on the section of fifth chapter where we are learning about the transcendental knowledge, right? So liberation through transcendental knowledge. No, it's liberation through by focusing on the super soul. Liberation by focusing on the super soul. That starts from verse number 17 to verse number 26. And then verse number 27, 28, 29 is liberation through Ashtanga Yoga, a preview. Last verse is the verse which actually tells us the peace formula, the path of perfection of liberation. So what have we been studying? Yes, again the same question. We are back to square one. What was the first question that Arjuna asked, and what made him ask that question? Please raise your hand. And if you're a co-host, you can unmute and talk. What question Arjuna asked to Krishna in the beginning of the chapter, and what made him ask this question? Yes, Khushbu.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, Arjuna has asked Krishna that Krishna has asked him to renounce the work, and then again he is recommending him to work in devotion. So he is confused that which is more beneficial, whether work or work with devotion. So Krishna has been telling him that the service done. A service done through devotional service is more fruitful than working.
Than working?
Then the renunciation.
Than renouncing. Very nice. Dhanyavad. Yes, Rekha Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Rekha
Krishna
Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, Arjuna is confused whether he has to do action or he has to do inaction, like he has to sit and do meditation and all. So that is, again, he is getting confused here. So here again, Krishna says devotional service is better than the dry mental speculation. So in the second chapter, he says knowledge. He describes knowledge. Krishna describes about the knowledge of the soul. And there he says we are not the body. He is explaining that. And again in 2.31 to 37, he describes the prescribed duties, so that we have to do. And 2.42 to 45, he says entanglement of the soul is due to the fruitive activities that the that we desire. Then again 2.46 to 53, he explains the process of disentanglement by devotional service. There he again explains the devotional service, which is better. Then in third chapter, 3.17 and 18, he explains no duty for a person in knowledge. Again, there he is confusing Arjuna, that there is no duty again. And 3.33, he explains that all kinds of sacrificial work culminates in knowledge.
4.33, not 3.33.
Yeah. And in the fourth, and last verse in fourth chapter, Krishna again tells Arjuna to get up and fight. So he thus confuses Arjuna whether to renounce or to work or to fight. So that is the confusion of Arjuna.
Very nice. You are ready for advanced level 4 already. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So what we are doing here, what we have been reading since last week is that the transcendental knowledge, the liberation by focusing on the Supreme. So this started from verse number 17. Verse number 17, Krishna starts talking about like focusing on Krishna by using all the things that we possess. Like we possess mind, intelligence, and then with the mind and intelligence, we make a faith. And with that faith, we should take a refuge. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada sings a song, Manas Deho Deha Jo Kuch Moro Diyapate Arpita Toro. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting one last second line, but it says, what do I have? My Supreme Personality of Godhead, what do I have? I have a mind. I have my body, right? Then I have my family. So Deho and Deha means a product of the body, which is a family. Okay, and Manas is mind. So I have all these things. I think I have these things. I want to give it to you. Arpita Toro. I want to surrender onto you. So you decide that what is to be done with it. That is Krishna consciousness actually. We come to Krishna consciousness, but we also come to Krishna consciousness uh, by uh, separating what's Krishna conscious activity and what's my activity in my family. It's very common. We separate. We separate. We look at the world like, okay, this is my Shastra time. This is my Krishna conscious time, and all day I'm going to do the body work, like that's my family time or this time or that time. But actually there shouldn't be a separation. We should constantly be living our life in such a way that Krishna consciousness is actually a part of my life. It's a way of life. I'm gonna eat, so I'm gonna eat Krishna prasadam. I'm gonna enhance the consciousness of my family by nurturing each other in Krishna conscious way. I'm going to make friends. I'm going to work at work also. I will look at the other people at work also as part and parcel of Krishna, and at least work on my own consciousness. I'm not Acharya. I cannot work on their consciousness, but I can at least work on my consciousness. So this is what it means when one's intelligent mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in supreme. Then one becomes fully cleansed of misgiving through complete knowledge, and proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Okay, and then we read the definition of a humble sage, because the humble definition of a humble person is very misused across the world, across the globe. People think humble means very sober person, person who doesn't get angry easily, or I don't know, whatever speculative definitions they have. Person who is maintaining the family very well, person who is very educated yet very sober, or whatever definition, whatever we make. Manobhrama, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Chaitamrit Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Dveta Bhadra Abhadra Sakuli Sama. A banda, a bhala, keval manobhrama. So it's a manobhrama. Is it Dveta? Dveta matlab hota hai two. Dveta means two. Bhadra means auspicious. Abhadra means inauspicious. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada says that Dveta, these two things, Bhadra, Abhadra, Sakuli Sama, they're same. A manda, a bhala, keval manobhrama. We think this is good, this is bad. It is just a manobhrama. It's just a speculation of the mind. It's like mind's own creation. But actually it is the same thing, because everything is bad in material world if it is not doubted to Krishna. So we have to start practice living our life in such a way that I am living Krishna consciousness. I am not separating Krishna consciousness from any aspect of my life. Nothing. I read I was few months ago, I was desperate to look for a resource which can really help me organize my day. So I was going through different things that can help me organize my day, like how do I plan, how do I make a schedule. So I came across this book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and the author gives a very nice division how one can be organizing the day. So in that division, I actually have printout, I think it's upstairs. In that division, he says that we have to organize our day not just based on the task, but based on what we are recognizing ourselves as. Actually, he says organize a week, not the day. So, family, if I recognize myself as a mother or as a daughter or whatever, then friend. And if I recognize myself as a teacher, or if I recognize myself as whatever I work at work. So, based on that designation, you organize your time and your task through the week, not like schedules. Like generally, what we do, we write down what we have to do in the day, right? The task driven. Is this how you guys organize? How do you organize your day? How do you schedule? Yes.
We prioritize our work, ma'am.
According to task, Mataji. Yeah.
So task, right? जैसे खाना बनाना है, then shopping करनी, grocery
Yes.
लानी है, then घर कपड़े धोने हैं, then घर सब करना है, काम पे जाना है, गाड़ी खराब ठीक करानी है, whatever, right? This is how we do. Is this how you guys do?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So that is a tricky one. So if you remind me at the end, and if we have time, then I can show you what I read. So he was saying that we have to organize our day or our week based on, not on the task, but based on the value. So value based organization is more important, that what is valuable in my life. Anyway, so this is what I'm trying to teach, that Krishna, we have to bring Krishna consciousness in our day to day. And then Krishna says that those, we defined humble sage, but what is the symptom of a humble sage? That the mind is established in sameness and equanimity, and have conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. Okay, so we are scared of death, right? At least I am. I'm very scared of death. Why? Because I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know what's going to happen to me. I know that right now I'm living, I am recognizing myself with the circumstances, with my body, and I know what's happening. But death means kalapani. You know, if somebody puts black cloth around your eyes, ties your hands, ties your legs, and throws you in the jungle, that's something that death is for a non-devotee. But a person who's a devotee knows, they know that what is going to happen to them, so they become flawless, and there is equanimity. Okay, a person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self intelligent, unbewildered, who knows the science of God, is to be understood as already situated in transcendence. Okay, so we have to search out such a person to make a guru. This is a person who can be a guru, who can teach us the science of Krishna consciousness if they are themselves situated in this platform. So, being a guru is not an easy job. And we'll start from here today. You can raise your hands to read. We are small group today. Sapna, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Bhaya sparsheshva asaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute.
Very nice.
Translation: such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure or external object, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Purport: Sri Yamunacharya, a great devotee in Krishna consciousness, said, Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padaravinde navanava rasa damanudhyata rantum asit tadavadi bata nari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukha vikaraha shushtu nishtivanam cha. Since I've been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl with distaste. A person is Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in the living service of the Lord, in the loving service of the Lord, that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure altogether. The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The whole world is moving under its spell, and a materialist cannot work at all without this motivation. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is a test in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, what happened to your voice?
Mataji just woke up, Mataji. 6:25 only I woke up. Today I was
Oh,
late.
okay. You're not sick or anything, right?
No,
Okay.
no, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you for reading. So, such a person is not attracted to material sense pleasure. You see, unless and until we have this thought going on, the fight going on in our head, should I watch a Bollywood movie or should I go to this Bhagavad Gita class? You see, this should I do this? So, one is material, one is spiritual. Like material spiritual means one has something to do with Krishna consciousness, other thing has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. So we can actually test ourselves. Unless and until this fight is going on in my head, should I do this and should I do that? Like watch a movie or go to Krishna consciousness or sleep little longer or come for class. So whenever these two things, the mind is split, we should understand that I'm not a humble sage. Just for our own, like look at the mirror, we should look at our face in the mirror ourselves. So because I'm attracted to sense pleasure, but a person in Krishna consciousness is not attracted to sense pleasure, but that doesn't mean that that person does not have a pleasure. That's where Mayavad philosophy and Krishna conscious philosophy differs. Mayavad philosopher says Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Mane, there is no Brahman is Satya and Jagat is Mithya, so there is, because it is false, there is no pleasure. They cannot enjoy a nice gulab jamun. If you bring hot gulab jamun, tasty, very, with cardamom and everything, okay, and you bring it in front of a Mayavadi, they will say this is mithya. How is it mithya? Such a nice hot ball is in front of me to eat. How is it mithya? But Mayavadi will somehow make an argument and say ye jhoot hai, this is mithya. But a devotee of Krishna will say, very nice preparation. Let me offer to Krishna, then I will eat. So you see, we meet the demands of our senses through Krishna. We don't become senseless. We don't say we don't have a sense. We don't say, but but actually, if you go further and further in your own consciousness, and as you go on introspecting your own self, you will realize that we all have a little element of impersonalism in our personality. We'll realize that how we nullify things in our own lives. But anyway, so person who is completely situated in trance and is enjoying the pleasure within. So it's not that they become pleasureless, but the pleasure is within. It's not without. It's not in the movie. It's somewhere else. But there is pleasure, and there is unlimited pleasure, right? Then he can concentrate on the supreme. Because Krishna means pleasure. Krishna means fun, unlimited fun. There is nothing but fun in Krishna. There is nothing but fun. You know, boys in Krishna's friends, Gopas, they don't want to come back home. In the evening, they just don't want to come. But then they come, and then they don't want to sleep in the night. And it is described the minute everybody is pretending to sleep, okay, in their houses, everybody is pretending, but really no one wants to sleep, because they all want to go to the forest and have fun and run around. All they're doing that only, you know, run around the Govardhan hill, go dip in the lake and have water fights, and go on the top of the tree and eat fresh fruits and flowers, and you know, whatever, play fights, whatever. They're playing, but they don't want to come back. But then they come back, their mothers give them bath, and then they go to bed. But they don't sleep, because they don't want to fall asleep with the fear that, okay, if we will sleep, then we will miss getting up in the morning and going to the forest with Krishna. And then what happens, Vyasdev describes this, that in the morning, Krishna gets up first. Okay, and after he gets ready, he comes, and then he wakes everyone up. And everybody is like, okay, one more day started. And this goes on day after day after day after day. These children are not going to school. They're not, because there's no need. They're already in knowledge, they have achieved the perfection. They're not, the parents are not going to office, they're not running. You know, in Western countries, in America, I can tell, in America at least, people leave for work so early that they actually don't have time to eat breakfast. So they are either buying breakfast from the drive-through windows of these Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, and they're eating in the car while driving. So they don't even have time to sit down and eat. So busy. What are you busy about? We are busy. But what are you busy about? We're busy. Prabhupada calls this what arambha? Bahurarambha Laghu Kriya. Prabhupada calls this Bahurarambha Laghu Kriya. Bahurarambha Laghu Kriya means, Bahur Arambha means very magnanimous beginning. You know, we are very busy. We woke up at 6 o'clock, get up 7 o'clock, leave for work, get up breakfast. You have Bahur, very big arrangement, right? Laghu, but Laghu Kriya. Laghu matlab choti, chota, small. Kriya means activity. So the beginning is so big, but the activity is so small, because there is no Krishna, but we get bewildered. Okay, we go on. Sushmita Mataji, Hare Krishna, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
ये ही संस्पर्जा भोगा दुख योन्य एवते.
Adi Antavant Kanteya. Nateshu Ramate Buddha.
Sorry, Mataji. I suddenly got a call, so yes, ma'am.
Say again, please.
Adhyavantah Kaunteya na teshu ramte buddha. Translation: an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of mystery, which are due to contact with material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport: material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana, it is said, Ramante yogino nante satyananda chit atmani iti rama pade nasho param brahma bhidyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajam nar loke kashtan kamarhate vid bhujam ye.
Mataji, who is behind you?
No, Mataji, somebody else is also helping me, I guess.
Oh, so somebody else is reading. Okay.
Tapo divyam putraka yena satvam sudhyad yashmad brahma saukiyam tav anantam. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure. While in this human form of life, such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified. And as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries.
Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Very nice. So I will show you a slide on this. Okay. So you might remember this slide from our 18-day program, which you all have attended. So we have to understand this shloka very nicely, and you can memorize this shloka right away. So you say yehi sam sparshaja bhoga. So sam sparshaja. So sparsha means touch, right? Bhoga means enjoyment. So yehi means this touch which leads to enjoyment. What is that touch? Let's see. Krishna. Hare Krishna. So do you remember this slide? Okay, so yehi sam sparshaja bhoga. So this by this touch, whatever enjoyment comes, dukkha yoneya evate. This is a reason for becoming misery. One's miserable life starts as soon as one enjoys a pleasure by the touch of the senses with the object. Why is it miserable? Because the entire world is running behind senses and sense objects, right? Our senses are running behind their objects, and the objects are also running towards the senses. Both are running towards each other. But Krishna is saying that this is a misery. This is dukkha yonaya evate. This is a reason to become miserable. Why? Because Adi Antavanta Kantaya. Adi means beginning, Anta means end. O son of Kunti, because these pleasures have a beginning and an end. Na teshu ramate buddha. So a wise person does not, ramate means does not delight in that. A buddha means intelligent. Na teshu means does not derive. Ramate means enjoyment. So this such an intelligent person does not derive in enjoyment in these kind of pleasures. So I always give example. If somebody likes to drink alcohol, Okay, now whole week they're working for 5 o'clock evening. What this is called as something. I don't know what it is, happy hour or something like that. When you get discount on buying some beer or wine. See, I know so much. So, so you come to the bar at around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening on Friday. I'm talking about America at least, because when you take a walk, you can see all this outside. So, so 6, 7, enter the bar by 6 o'clock. You get a happy hour. You buy buy two for one price or something like that. So all week the person is working to go for that 1 hour happiness, and then they go, and then what happens? The object is the wine, right? The object is wine, and the sense is tongue, right? The sense is tongue, and the object is wine. So you put the wine on the object, on this. I'm sorry, on the sense, which is tongue. So drink it. So that means you're bringing the object of senses with the senses. Are you understanding what I'm saying, or is it?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so you touch this wine on your tongue. So object has now come in touch with the senses. Person becomes very happy. That's why they're doing it, because they become happy. So the happiness which comes, Krishna says, your miserable life has started. Started because you have touched the object of senses to the senses. Because it has a beginning and end. You know, beginning is very nice. End, person has to eat Disprin or aspirin in the morning for headache, lemon, or I don't know what one thinks. So the intelligent person doesn't take delight in all these things. And the example in animal kingdom, one sense is very prominent, hai na? Like these moths. The moths have a very keen sense of vision. So what happens in the rainy day after it rains? I have seen it in the village in India. Then there is a street lamp or any lamp in your veranda, and then they have a very keen sense of vision. They're attracted to the light. They go, and then they sit on the hot bulb, and then they get fried. Death, right? Beginning and end. Ho gaya, end ho gaya. Then this deer, how is a deer caught? Because deer has a very keen sense of hearing. So the hunter plays a very nice flute. So the deer goes behind the music. So senses and sense object are coming in touch, right? The sense is ear, object is the music. So they go and then caught. Okay, this is another. Now honeybee. Honeybee has a very keen sense of smell. So because of the smell, it goes from one flower to another flower to collect nectar. Sometimes it so happens that after the sun sets, some flowers close. So when they close, then the honeybee is trapped inside, and then it dies. So the sense is the sense is the nose, and the object is the smell. So come in touch, gone. Now fish, so much food is there. Sense of taste is very prominent. So much food is there in the river, but then how a fisherman catches a fish, throws a bait, and then it sees a bait, and then it gets trapped. Done. Senses have come in touch with the sense object. Then such a big magnanimous elephant, how is the elephant caught? Sense of touch is very prominent. So the she elephant is taught how to allure this guy. Okay, and then the hunter digs a very deep well and covers it with the broken branches of the tree. So the she elephant is taught how to go around this pit. So she goes, allures him. She does some Bollywood dance, and then she comes, and this guy is coming behind her. So she goes around. She goes around the pit. He falls in the pit. Done. Okay, so in animal kingdom, one sense is prominent. But what is the condition of a human being? All the senses are very prominent, equally prominent, all of them. So imagine how miserable our situation is if we don't become Krishna conscious. So our sense of vision is prominent, sense of smell is prominent, sense of taste is prominent, sense of touch is prominent, sense of and sense of hearing is prominent, right? So we go on. We spend our life only doing this, bringing the senses in touch with their sense object. But a devotee of Krishna can see this. You see, these people can't see this, but we can. The devotee of Krishna who is chanting Hare Krishna, by the mercy of the acharyas, we can see this. It's a mercy. He says, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is not, so Krishna is explaining this. This is so nice, right? Bhagavad Gita is so nice. that we come to know what is to be done and what is not to be done. So yehi samsparshaja bhoga. You should not memorize this verse. Yehi samsparshaja means, well, when this samsparshaja, bhoga means enjoyment. So samsparshaja, sparsha means touch. So the enjoyment that comes by the touch of the senses with the object, dukkha evate, beginning of the miserable life. Why? Because such a enjoyment, Adi and Anta, it has a beginning and it has an end. O son of Kunti, Nateshu Ramate Buddha. Intelligent person does not derive pleasure in it. This is also can be referred to other shlokas 2.69, and I think the other shloka is 4.29. 2.69 is what is night for a self-realized person is a day for a materialist, and what is day for a self-realized person is a night for a materialist. Okay, and then I think it's 4.29 where one sees action in inaction and inaction in action, really sees. So this is another reference that you see. What are you doing? Okay, Khushbu, you can read this. 23.
Mataji, I just had a question.
Yes.
Sometimes, like as you said, after a day long's work, sometimes we are just entangled in the Maya that, okay, why let me just see some comedy show, because I'm so stressed out. I want to just listen to something, some jokes, so that I get relaxed, my mind gets relaxed. And or you want to see some movie or something. I know what is shown in the movie doesn't happen in real life. It is all Maya, because it doesn't happen in a couple's life or something, that whatever it is, the partners taking care of each other and all that. But still, you would you would want to know, to see that, to you feel somehow like we understand it is Maya. I understand it is Maya, but still sometimes I try to go and watch that and all. Is it something because, okay, I don't have that, so I feel that, okay, I should let me watch at least somebody to have. But in one other sense, one part of my mind says that no, it doesn't exist. This is all Maya. So this retrospective analysis keeps happening on one end. On the other hand, I just indulge in that mistake. So how do I overcome this? Like I'm actually struggling in between.
Mataji, first is that we have to give ourselves a lot of compassion. Okay, beating our head is not going to help. So it says, I'm sorry, but I've been in ISKCON for half of my life now. So I did this course with the devotees in Gitanagari 2 years ago, this nonviolent communication. A very big sannyasi in ISKCON teaches it, Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj in North Carolina. So it says, okay, it is very important to analyze how we are talking to ourselves. So let's say you are, it looks to me that you are acknowledging it as a mistake, right,
Yes.
Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, yes.
So how do you talk to yourself if you do this? If I may ask you, how do you talk to yourself about it? Quickly tell me, quickly.
I really don't know, Mataji, because I know that I'm committing a mistake. I need to improve. And I say, Krishna, help me. Krishna, help me. Please let me avoid all this. I just keep praying to Krishna that yes, but still somehow I go and make
talking to Krishna. But my question is how you're talking to yourself. Like I said, oh, again you did this? Or how do you talk to
Yes.
yourself?
Yes, Mataji, I do that. I said, oh, did I do it again? Oh God, I curse myself sometimes.
Oh, how can you do that? How can you be so like misdirected? How can you be so fallen? How can you
Yes.
whatever? I'm
Yes.
not talking for you, but in general, every single person sitting in the class can introspect. Is this how we are talking to ourselves? Then we are committing huge violence on our own self first. Okay, so first principle of Krishna consciousness is that accept my position. Accept that yes, I am. I could do better. I could do better, and this is where my mind is going right now. You yourself use the word mind, right? Mind gets relaxed.
Yes, Mataji.
So, Mataji, so the thing is that the mind is never going to listen. No, if you're gonna tell your mind, I'm not gonna do it. I am not going to do it. I'm not gonna watch. I am not. So the next thing you're gonna see yourself doing is watching it for a longer period of time. Okay. So
Okay.
we should not do like that. Should not nahi bolna chahiye. Consider not doing it. You may do it, but it's not going to be successful. So what will you do is, I am definitely going to watch, but let me finish this work first. Okay, I'm definitely going to do it. I'm definitely going to watch, but let me just, oh my God, I haven't finished my 16 rounds yet. I'm definitely, did I ever tell you how I left giving up drinking coffee? Did I ever tell you that?
I don't think so,
No,
Mataji.
Mataji.
No,
No.
Mataji.
I think I have, because I have 2-3 things in my life and I keep repeating every last minute. Okay, so when I joined, when I started going to ISKCON in 2002, January I started. Okay, and then 3 months I was chanting 16 rounds, and I was already feeling guilty that I'm drinking this coffee. South India coffee is so tasty, right? So
Yes.
get that in Delhi. So but then I understood that Prabhupada says no intoxication, which includes tea and coffee. So what I used to do is uh, that I used to go to the mess at 7 in the morning, fill my cup with hot coffee, bring it upstairs, and keep the cup in front of me. I remember. Sorry, Mataji, if you feel I'm mad and crazy, but I used to keep it in front of me, and then I used to talk to that cup. I am just going to drink it. This is my whole cup of hot, tasty coffee waiting for me. I'm gonna drink it. But let me just finish, because I used to study at the same time drinking before going to college. So I'm studying and I'm looking, I'm studying, I'm looking, and then the coffee gets cold, and then it's like it's useless. Aise karte 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 karte, one day it becomes very distasteful. I never said no, I'm not gonna do it. So Mataji, plus you associate with devotees. Association of devotees uplifts us naturally. It naturally uplifts us. It's naturally very august company to be in. For example, if somebody has a desire to eat halwa, and they say, okay, Haldiram's moong dal halwa is very tasty. So I'm going to go to this shop today and I'm going to buy this moong dal halwa and eat. So you disclose your mind to a devotee friend. So devotee friend, if is genuinely a friend, will say, that's really nice, but can you come to the temple around lunchtime and then I'll show you something. So that person will make halwa and offer to Krishna and then give it to you. Says, why don't you eat this? You want to eat, right? You want to eat halwa. Why don't you eat this? Why are you going over there? So that uplifted, right? Almost
Sure.
already.
Yes, Mataji.
So play it by the ear. You don't beat yourself.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Khushbu,
Yes,
please
Mataji.
read. Finish. We have 6 more verses after this.
Saknoti हैवय सोधम प्राक शरीर विमोक्षणात् कामा क्रोध भावम वेगम सयुक्त स सुखी नरः. Translation. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is a yogi and is happy in this world. Purport. If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of the material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of stomach, forces of the genitals, and forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswamis live strictly controlled lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses. Material desires, when unsatiated, generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up material body. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger.
Very nice. So okay, so I think I can do a quiz on this. So what book and what verse? Please raise your hand. One who can control the force of talk, anger, mind, stomach, genitals, and tongue is called Goswami. These devotees have spoken. Yes.
Nectar of
What
instruction,
book
Mataji.
and what verse?
Sri Upadesh Amrita, Mataji.
What verse? Verse number?
First verse, Mataji.
My co-host cannot see Yes, first verse. Very nice. Okay. Now, what verse is this? Material desires, when unsatiety generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Means if the material desire is not satisfied, or in other words, the lust is not satisfied, then dissatisfied lust leads to anger. Anger leads to bewilderment of the memory. Bewilderment of the memory leads to illusion. Illusion leads to loss. Bewilderment. Anger leads to bewilderment, then it leads to illusion, then it leads to loss of memory, and then it leads to fall down. What verse, what chapter? Yes.
It's 2.6.
Wait, Rekha Mataji. You can't be the only one answering. Wait.
Okay, Mataji.
Yes. Raise your hand, please. Yes, Neha Mataji.
2.62 and 63.
Very nice. You know the verse?
I haven't memorized, but I read it last week, so I remember.
Very nice. You're not well?
No, just got cold. It's very cold here in Bangalore. So got up
Oh.
early in the morning and went out. So
Oh, okay. Yes. So this is 2.68 and 69.
Mataji.
Yes.
Yeah, these two verses are my daughter's favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, dhyate vishyan punsaha, sanghasta sanjayate, kama krodha vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, smriti vibhrishite buddhinashat pranashayati. So, anger is a result of mode of passion. And if mode of passion is not satisfied, then it leads to, lust, anger. Anger is a result of mode of ignorance. Lust is a result, the material desire is a result of mode of passion. Okay, material desire comes from mode of passion. When mode of passion is not satisfied, it leads to degradation to mode of ignorance. And anger, material anger, is mode of ignorance. It represents mode of ignorance. Okay, so the real transcendentalist does not take pleasure in all this. So we can continue. If you have a question, you can stop me. Rekha Mataji, would you like to read this? Yo anta sukho anantaramas.
Okay, Mataji, let me try. Yo anta sukho anantaramas tanthanantar jyotir eva yah sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto adhigacchati. Translation: one whose happiness is within, who is active within, who rejoices within, and is illuminated within, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Purport: unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from the external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? A liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. He can therefore sit silent at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. This state is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Nice. Thank you. You see, small purports Prabhupada has given were so profound. That 5 things which are happening within. Happiness is within, activity is within, rejoice is within, is in knowledge or illuminate within, and that is the definition of a perfect mystic. So 4 things, I'm sorry: happiness, activity, rejoicement, and illumination. 4 things are happening, and that is a perfect mystic. Not the person who has achieved yoga siddhi is a mystic. No, and you can sit down alone. You see, we were discussing other day in the hospital that in the last year, I think maybe I was reading an article. In the last 1 year, because of the lockdown across the world, children have developed the number of mental health disorders in children has gone sky high, and food the eating disorders have also gone very high, and they were attributing it because children were locked inside the houses. So there was a lockdown, right? So everyone was locked inside the houses, so they became very, very disturbed. Person became very disturbed because they were locked inside the house. So you see, Why are we not happy with our own self? We are disturbed, money, I'm not happy. No, that is why I'm disturbed. So what makes me so disturbed with my own self? I have Krishna inside me, my body. The Krishna is living inside my body, but I am so unhappy with myself because there is no Krishna consciousness, because there is no awareness of the Paramatma in the heart, because there is no awareness that actually I can be very happy from within. And we give to the world what we have, right? If you don't have 100 rupees, how can you give it to someone else? How can you give it? So if we give to the world what we have, so if we have happiness within us, we will be able to give happiness to everyone else. Otherwise it will not happen. Okay, so this is the definition. So person is silent. That is why this person is shanta, silent. Silent doesn't mean Maunavrat, doesn't mean that it takes a vow not to talk, but silent to the material affairs and speaks of Krishna. A person who can talk about Krishna and a person who can hear about Krishna, this person is not normal. Or not normal matlab nahi, this person is not is already in a journey back home. Because you see, every morning Prabhupada talks about America. He says, India newspaper has how many pages? The morning newspaper which come, how many pages are there in the newspaper? 7, 8?
14.
14 pages? So many pages nowadays.
Without advertisement, it's 7 pages only. With ads,
Okay. Okay. Something like that, right? Prabhupada said India is still better. America, newspaper, 25 pages. 20 pages. And what is the news? What is the news? Who killed who? And what politician did what politics? How many COVID has eaten how many people? And Afghanistan troops have been withdrawn or not withdrawn? And weight loss journey of a person. Sorry. Prajalpa, so much. And Prabhupada said, person who gets up, some people, he said, it looks like from his lecture that he knows some people who can't start their day without reading a newspaper. They feel very incomplete. So he said, so much disturbance is already there because we are not happy with our own self. Mane, we are disturbed. Now we add more disturbance. It's like adding fuel to the fire. Rather than get up, chant Hare Krishna, attend Srimad Bhagavatam class, but this person is becoming more disturbed. Oh, this place is a horrible world. Give me one more cup of tea. Right? This is what happens. This is horrible. Look at this news. This person died. That happened. This happened. Oh, horrible, horrible, horrible. Give me a cup of tea. Really? So you're increasing your intoxication. No, first increase intoxication by absorbing this news, and now you increase more intoxication by to forget this news. So why don't you become completely remain high forever in Krishna consciousness? Why don't you remain high forever? Why to even come down in Krishna consciousness? Okay, so the choice is very clear. It's very common sense. Okay, who wants to read 25th? We can go on for next 5-10 minutes.
I'll
Nobody.
read.
Okay, go ahead.
Labante Brahma Nirvana Nam Rakshyah Krishna Kalmasha Chinna Devataha Yatatmahanaha Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha. Translation: one who is beyond duality and doubt, whose mind is engaged within, who is always busy working for the welfare of all sentient beings, and who is free from all sins, achieves liberation in the Supreme. Purport: only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in welfare work for all living entities. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive this consciousness within the entire human society is the highest welfare work. One cannot be engaged in first-class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he is completely freed from all sins. This is the state of divine love. A person engaged only in ministering to the physical welfare of human society cannot factually help anyone. Temporary relief to the external body and the mind is not satisfactory. The real cause of one's difficulties in the hard struggle for life may be found in one's forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. When a man is fully conscious of his relationship with Krishna, he is actually liberated soul, although he may be in the material tabernet. Sorry, what is
Tabernacle.
this?
Tabernacle.
Material tabernet.
So, so this is so nice, right? That person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness is doing the highest welfare activity for all living entities, for all, not just humans, for all. Any welfare activity which is based on the bodily comfort is never going to be for all. We see the government makes so many schemes, all living entities. Government makes so many schemes so that people can live happily, right? That's the whole deal behind passing so many bills um, and then making so many schemes. But does anyone really become happy? Prabhupada says, okay, on one side you're trying to make schemes to make human beings happy, and on other side you're sending poor animals to the slaughterhouses. So how can there be happiness? Because we are missing the central point. We are missing the center, that Krishna is in the center of my life. Krishna is in the center of everyone's life. I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture today, and Prabhupada was explaining that who is actually a Brahmana. Who is a Brahmana? Prabhupada says Brahmana is a person who says that, okay, if you pinch me, I will get hurt, right? So and if you hurt any other living entity, that living entity will also get hurt. So why should I hurt them? If I will get hurt, why should I hurt them? Why? I see so many people in my career, I'm sorry, but this is my realization, who say that we are very scared of needles, right? They say we are very scared of needles, very scared of blood draw. Oh, the minute I see blood, I fall unconscious on the floor. I don't know how you do this job. All these things we hear. Honestly, I'm honestly saying, I don't have an element of proud here. But so sometimes it crosses my mind, and when you take their diet history, they're eating meat every day, every meal. So if you are scared of a needle and you are scared of looking at blood, then how can you inflict that pain to this animal, that you're eating that body? Not only like needle, but actually putting a knife on their body and cutting it. Just imagine the pain. Just imagine the hue and cry. So that kind of obligation and that kind of an arrangement is not going to help. It's not going to satisfy anyone. Kamadhinam katina kalita balita turinidesha tesham jatamai na karuna na kripa no pashanti. Nothing. Chaitanya Charitamrita has already taught us. Come, we go on satisfying Kamadhinam, Katina, Kalita, Palita, Durinidesha. You go on doing it. Go on satisfying your senses. Go on satisfying the senses of your family, of your country, of your nation, of your fellow beings. Come, go on. Nobody. Na kripa, na karuna. Nobody will have mercy. Na kripa. Nobody will be grateful. No pashanti. Nobody will get satisfaction, including you. Prabhupada gives example of Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was such a great leader, right? Very nice leader, very great leader. What he wanted, that he did not even want to pick up a weapon to actually inflict injury on the enemy also, right? The British company was the enemy. That he wanted non-violent movement. So that's such a nice leadership example. But what happened? His own countrymen killed him. So dissatisfied. Prabhupada says that in the evening that he was going to leave, his servants warned him that I have heard that there is something going on at Delhi, don't go. But he did not listen, he went. Then he was assassinated by his own countrymen that he actually gave his life for. So where is the satisfaction? We have these examples in front of us. We should learn. Abraham Lincoln, he was also assassinated, right? He brought the revolution in America. Such nice leaders, but we assassinated by their own countrymen. So these kind of leadership and this kind of material qualities are actually not going to satisfy anybody, and they're not going to be happy. So the sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as a supreme enjoyer, as a supreme proprietor, and a supreme friend. Therefore, to act to revive this consciousness within entire human society is the highest welfare work. They think that people who have nothing else to do come to Krishna consciousness. They think like that, right? People think like that. Oh, you have nothing better to do. Why are you sitting here? Sunday morning, you should be doing something fun, right? But no, you're sitting here and reading Bhagavad Gita. But they don't know that this is the highest welfare work. I can help myself, and then I can help millions. One pure soul is more powerful than a sun. It is written in the Bhagavatam. The power of a pure soul is even more powerful than the sun. Sun is very powerful. We cannot even actually look at the sun with our bare eyes. So powerful it is. But one pure soul, just one soul which is inside my body, if it gets purified, it becomes more powerful than the sun. So Krishna consciousness is so nice that it actually becomes we actually become like, I get to know who I am. In my Hindi class, there are some people who want to ask me Mahabharat question. I told them, I'm sorry, I don't know Mahabharat. But actually, I can answer, but I don't answer. I'm telling you, but don't tell, okay, I can answer, but I don't answer. They want to know who is Karna, who is Bhishma, who is Sanjay, who is this. And I ask them, okay, I will tell you all these things. First, you tell me, who are you? Who are you? You know, you want to know who is this, who is that, and who is that, and who is this, but who are you? First, you answer this question, then I will answer your question. They cannot answer. Then why are you going here, there, everywhere? Come back, no? Why are you missing the center? Analyzing other person's character, where is your character? So it is very easy to project something on someone else, but then the hard work is to work on ourselves. Okay, Krishna consciousness makes us do a hard work. So Shirisha Mataji, please go ahead. Kama Krodha Vimuktanam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yatachetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvana. Krishna. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Purport of the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving towards salvation, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. The Bhagavatam confirms this fact as follows. Consciousness is the best of all. The Bhagavatam confirms this fact as follows. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktaya karmasyam gratitam udgratyanti santaha tadva narikta matayo yatayopi rudhas rotognastam aranam bhaja vasudevam. Just try to worship in devotional service Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in the transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep-grown desire for fruitive activities. Bhagavatam 4.22.39. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruity results of work is so deep-rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires despite great endeavors. A devotee of the Lord, constantly engaged in the devotional service in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Owing to his complete knowledge in self-realization, he always remains in trance. To cite an analogous example of this, Darshana Dhyana Sansparsair Matsya Kurma Vihangamaha Swanya Patyani Pusnanti Tataham Api Padmaja. By vision, by meditation, and by touch only do the fish, the tortoise, and birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. The fish brings up its offsprings simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offsprings simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on the land. and the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. Similarly, a devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to the abode simply by thinking of him constantly by engagement in Krishna consciousness. He does not feel the pangs of material miseries. This state of life is called Brahma Nirvana, or the absence of material miseries, due to being constantly immersed in the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
So nice, right? It's so nice that a person who is self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring. So Prabhupada, there is a book called "I Will Build You a Temple." So Prabhupada's disciple Giriraj Swami, he wrote this book. Prabhupada's Juhu temple land that acquisition, that was a huge deal. The person actually turned away who promised to give the land to Prabhupada, and also took a token money, actually turned away because he was getting a better offer from somebody who wanted to make a hotel there. So the whole book is on that struggle. Prabhupada didn't want to give up. And then Prabhupada was talking to Giriraj Maharaj one time, that he writes it in the book, that Prabhupada asked that how will ISKCON go on after I leave the body? How will ISKCON go on? So Giriraj Maharaj was saying, oh, if we keep the good sadhana, if we chant nicely, if we associate with each other, if we respect each other, cooperate each other. Prabhupada only said two things. He said two things to run this worldwide organization. He said organization and intelligence. So you become organized and use your intelligence. Organization, intelligence. My Guru Maharaj gave class on this. That's why I know this. So, and I have the book. So self-disciplined. So there's a very need. It's actually, the discipline has to be so strict as if one is in a military. We cannot let our head go here and there and everywhere and be Krishna conscious at the same time. Yes, in the beginning it may be like a struggle, but then we have to make our association like that. That if I feel like I'm going to fall down, then the other devotee will pick you up. Don't fall. And if the other devotee falls down and you pick them up, that's why Prabhupada said, I made a society. Otherwise, he would have made hotel one room for us in Himalayas. No, everybody go to that room and meditate alone. No, we live in the society. And I'm honestly telling you, the living with devotees is not easy. It's not easy because there's so much purification that happens with the devotees. There's so much purification. It's so difficult to live with the devotees. But the aim is so nice that we have to please Krishna. So we somehow work it out. We resolve the conflicts. It is not that the conflicts don't come. They come. But then the focus is on Krishna, so there is no choice but to resolve those conflicts in a Krishna conscious manner. So we get purified. There's a purification in the association of devotees. While in the non-devotee association, it is very difficult to live with them, and the conflicts never resolve. It's always coming again and again. New conflicts come, right? Because they cannot see anything. The non-devotee cannot see good on anyone. They thankless people. A devotee sees Krishna. The ability of the other person is because of Krishna. Krishna gifted that person with ability. You see, if I will request Vasudev Prabhu to sing his a song that he wrote for Lord Rama. Okay, now you listen to it. If he sings it in the association of a non-devotee, they will say the superficial praise will be there. Okay, very nice, you're very nice, very nice. But over here, we will not only appreciate the person who's singing, but also appreciate the intelligence given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is a real appreciation, right? You appreciate the work and you also appreciate the real personality who gave that intelligence, right? So it's real. So that's real from the bottom of the heart. A non-devotee will give some award or some certificate. Here you go. This is your certificate of achievement or certificate of appreciation or gold medal or whatever. After some years, the thing looks very dull. I am sure you have won some certificate in your life by now. I'm sure each one of you would have done. How does it feel? And how old to me? How does it feel?
It doesn't have any price, ma'am. Now it's worthless.
Or because okay, I was gonna say it's so precious. Maybe.
Yeah. Like it's lying in the cupboard. It's lying in the cupboard.
Yeah. Okay. So how does it feel? Like I remember whatever my college degrees school or whatever competition. That time it was like, whoa, we have to get it, get it, get it. Now they are collecting dirt, right or wrong? They're collecting
Absolutely.
dirt, right? They go in a showpiece or whatever we put. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Absolutely.
So many material achievement. But then if somebody doesn't know any better, then they look at that and then they feel, wow, I'm such a nice man. But they don't understand that that time is over. It's done deal. Sealed deal. Khatam ho gayi wo baat. But they do not know what to do now. Okay, what to do? But a Krishna conscious person knows there is so much to achieve and there is so much to offer to Krishna. So their achievement, because it is offered to Krishna, it is eternal, right? Om Tat Sat, it is eternal because the activity is eternal, the result of the activity is eternal, and the person who is doing the activity also becomes eternal. Material achievements become dull and dead after some time. Person who has struggled very hard to become so rich and educated, they grow 60 years, 70 years, they can't wait to retire. बहुत हो गया, right? I'm tired now, I don't want to do it anymore. How come you are so passionate about something? How come you don't want to do it anymore? Because that passion was from the material mode. But if I bring my passion for Krishna, it will go on increasing. Prabhupada started a worldwide movement at an age when people retire from their material activities. 70 years of age, he started the business. He started. And within 11 years, it was the most number one in the whole world. Actually, ISKCON is still the richest in the entire world because so many temples are there. But of course, we don't think like that because Krishna is Lakshmipati. Krishna is the supreme in charge. Everything belongs to Krishna. But I'm just trying to say that there is a comparison. So open your eyes and see. Okay, and how can we think of Krishna? We are living so far away from Krishna. Well, there's an example in Padma Puran about it, that a fish is raising its children just by looking at it, the eggs. Tortoise is sitting in the water and the egg is on the land, so just meditating. And then the bird is touching by its touch, it's raising its offspring. So like that, we can also do activity for Krishna and think of Krishna. Do something for Krishna. If I'm not going to do something for Krishna, I'm not going to know what it is. Okay, I think next 3 verses we can do next week because they're important. So what did we do today? We studied the transcendental subject matter, like how one can attain transcendental liberation is, and what are the qualities of a person who is situated in that platform already. So Brahma Bhuta platform, or humble sage, we studied their qualification. We also studied that such a person is not looking for happiness outside because it has discovered happiness inside. It's not that there is no happiness, they have discovered. But the happiness inside has no match. We go outside, but it is inside. There's an example of a deer given, right? A deer is looking for a smell of a musk. Is it a musk? Is it called as a musk, where the nice fragrance comes from a deer? It's running all over the jungle and then looking here, looking there, but it doesn't know that it is actually coming right from its body. So I am living, my body is moving because Krishna is there in me, because soul is sitting inside me. This body has soul and super soul. So the happiness is within. And I gave you example of these mental health disorders going up in a lockdown period because people became so disturbed. Oh, Prabhupada gives one example. One time when Prabhupada was in New York in 1960s, there was a blackout. It's very rare to have a blackout in America, but there Prabhupada said there was a blackout. So the electricity of the whole city, New York City, went off for a few hours. Okay. So then what happened? Next morning in the newspaper, the number of crimes had shot up. So the electricity went for a few hours and then the crime rate in the same night, in few hours that the electricity was gone, shot up. How come? How come that happened? So Prabhupada was explaining that how come it happened? Because people thought nobody's watching. So that demoniac quality let it come out. Because they're so, right? So a Krishna conscious person is not going to live like this. I'll give you one practical example. I've seen it. So a person who is not in Krishna consciousness, let's say that they go on a vacation and they live in a hotel. Okay, now they will not bother. They are brushing their teeth and the water is running because they don't have to pay that bill, right? You're just paying for the room and the bill is included. Or they will leave the lights on, or they will leave the AC on or something, right? Because they're not paying the bill. So when they're not paying the bill, why should they bother about it? But a Krishna conscious person will see this as an energy of Krishna. Why should I waste energy of Krishna? This water belongs to Krishna. It is for my use and not abuse. This energy belongs to Krishna. Why should I waste it? I will use what I need and the rest I will preserve. So that is Krishna consciousness. Everywhere, there you go. We can see ourselves. How much Krishna conscious am I becoming? Krishna conscious means what? How much conscious am I becoming of Krishna around me? That's Krishna consciousness, right? Don't we say, can't you walk consciously, talk consciously, be self-conscious? I said, be Krishna conscious, be aware of Krishna everywhere. Aware that you are aware everything belongs to Krishna. It's Krishna's property. How can I say I'm not paying the bill? Such a small understanding, such a small brain, right? It is a minor. Sten evasa uchyate. That person is called as a thief. As it's stealing Krishna's energy and claiming that I am the one that who's the proprietor of it. Okay, so we will do 26, 27, 28, 29 next week. Next week, we can meet somebody. We can meet Saturday. 5 p.m. will work because I'm taking advanced class 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Saturday that week. So 5 p.m. Saturday, if it will work, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Mataji,
Yes,
I'll be
Mataji.